Welcome to Self-Worth Club, the podcast that empowers you to believe in yourself and your work. Whether you're an aspiring entrepreneur, creative, or simply looking to cultivate greater self-worth, Self-Worth Club is for you. Join us each week as we empower you to believe in yourself and unlock your full potential. Hello, friends. I'm your host, Zoe. Thank you for being here today. We are going to be talking about divine feminine energy, what it means, tips on how to embrace it in your everyday life, channel more of it, and also go into the parallel, which is masculine energy, divine masculine energy. We're going to talk about the toxic side of it and all of that good stuff. So this episode was requested a few weeks ago by a friend of mine, and I'm so excited to finally get to it. And if you have anything specific that you want me to touch on in a future episode, or maybe even just a question that you feel like fits in the realm of what I talk about, send it to me on Instagram. I would love to fit it into a future episode, or maybe make an episode totally about it. I'm here to listen. I'm here for you. So please don't hesitate to reach out. Give me your feedback, give me your tips. Tell me what you want to hear, and we'll make it happen. Okay, so let's jump into it. We're going to start with defining divine feminine energy. I pulled a few definitions while doing my research, and I want to read you 3 that I feel like do a good job of summing it up, but give you some different perspectives. So the first, the divine feminine is the goddess energy that exists within all of us. Many ancient cultures have a divine feminine concept. So the Egyptians had Isis, the Greeks had Aphrodite, and the Hindus have Shakti. The divine feminine is often associated with fertility, creativity, intuition, and tapping into this energy can even help heal the mind, body, and soul of women who are in addiction recovery. So it was super interesting. That whole website was based around addiction recovery and really dove into using divine feminine energy for that. And they talked a lot about how aspects of divine feminine can be found in almost all ancient and modern belief systems. The second definition, the existence of divine feminine suggests that complementary energies exist within each being. The divine feminine is closely connected to receiving or hidden, while masculine energy is connected to producing or visible. And as a society, we really have idealized the producing side of things, particularly hustle culture in the US. So much so that receiving feels like a bad thing. In fact, it is only by receiving that we can continue to do. Sound like self-care to anyone? So embracing divine feminine means examining ourselves honestly and holistically to find the balance that works for us. That was the whole second definition. And the third, the sacred feminine energy is nurturing, soft, grounded, with strong boundaries, and trusting of her intuition. The sacred masculine energy is present, logical, and focused, with a deep desire to protect and build. And when these 2 energies work together within us, they create a sweet union that allows us to embrace all that makes us human and holy. Love, love, love that one. So now I want to dive deeper into the difference between feminine and masculine energies. Feminine and masculine energy is about polarity, not about being a man or a woman. In today's society, a large majority of us tend to lean into the masculine, but a balance is needed. It's so needed. And we have both of these energies within us. We just have to find ways to bring them out and when they're needed. Okay, so the qualities of divine masculine energy: boldness, assertiveness, which is about standing up for yourself or someone else; confidence, self-assurance, linear progression; logic, objectivity, risk-taking, action-taking, discipline, structure, self-control, non-judgmental, well-mannered, generous, altruistic. Think of it as linear progression, firm energy, yang energy as a flagpole. And then qualities of feminine, divine feminine energy. Emotional, right-brained. Action is oriented to the experience of joy rather than an outcome. Emotional strength seeks self-mastery, but is more concerned with sacrificing for the greater good. Extroverted, open, vulnerable, nurturing, cooperative. Think of this as a wave. There are ups and downs, ebbs and flows, constant growth, constant cycles. It's fluid energy, yin energy, and it is the flag on that flagpole. So why divine? Because I have to give this distinction because you need to know there's an opposite to it. There is toxic feminine energy and there is toxic masculine energy. So we're going to go through that real quick just so you have the full view of what it really means. So, toxic feminine energy, being passive aggressive, being hypercritical of ourselves or others, shaming other women for their bodies, their sexual choices, whatever that might be, being jealous of other women, being envious, being overly emotional, creating unnecessary drama, using rumors and gossip, guilting others, playing a victim to avoid responsibility, backstabbing, and setting unrealistic expectations of men. And then examples of toxic masculine energy are unconditional physical toughness, physical aggression, fear of emotion, discrimination against people that aren't heterosexual, hyper-independence, sexual aggression or violence, anti-feminist behaviors. So now that you understand what divine feminine and masculine energy is and what it definitely is not, I want to give you 5 tips for embracing your divine feminine energy today. Number 1 is treat your body and your space like a temple. This looks like skincare, movement, candles, perfume, tidying up regularly, staying organized, fueling your body with whole foods, taking your vitamins. And then the second tip, don't compare yourself to other women. I'm sure we've all heard that quote, that comparison is the thief of joy, and it is so true. The only way you're going to be happy and feel fulfilled in what you're doing and whole in what you're doing, go after it, is by being grateful for where you are right now and enjoying the journey and just focusing on that next step in front of you. Don't get caught up looking at the entire staircase or the person next to you. I don't know if you've ever seen that picture. It's a side-by-side picture of Michael Phelps in a race. And there's this guy next to him, and I don't even know his name. But they're neck and neck. They're literally right there, exact, like, same tenth of a second. They are completely tied. They're about to touch the wall. And the guy on his side looks over. He stops to look over and see where he is to gauge his competition, and he loses by like a tenth of a second. It was something crazy like that, don't quote me. But the point is, he stopped to look over, he stopped to compare himself and see where he was, instead of just staying in his own lane and going after it and probably winning, maybe winning, had a way better chance, right? He took that second, took his head out of the game, and looked at the person next to him. And we're going to talk a little bit about how you can use comparison for your advantage, but there's a healthy way to do it. And so it's like, you really have to think about when you're comparing yourself to other people, you don't know what they've been through. You don't know what they've overcome to get to where they are. The late nights they've put in, who their network is, what mindset they've created for themselves to get there. The list goes on, but comparing yourself to them does you no good because your journey is yours and yours alone. It doesn't matter where they are. It doesn't matter. All that matters is where you are right now and the small step you can take in this moment to move towards your goal. Focus on the now. So, here are 2 quick tips to help you avoid the comparison trap. 1, listen to your strongest triggers. Comparison can teach you what you value. When you catch yourself feeling envious of what someone else is doing or achieving, deep down, you're craving that too, even if you haven't consciously allowed yourself to want it yet. The next time you feel this way, ask yourself a few questions. What do they have that makes me feel less than? What void do I believe having that would fill for me? Do I really want what they have, truly? And if yes, how much? How much do I want it? And is it worth taking action to get it for myself too? The more specific you answer, the better you'll be able to redirect your emotions into action and strategy. And that is so important. You can figure it all out, but unless you're taking action, developing a strategy to get to where you want to go, you're going to be spinning in circles and wondering, why not me? Why isn't this working for me? And that's really when you fall into that comparison trap. And the second tip there is make sure your envy doesn't become malicious. This is what I was talking about, where like comparison can be used to your advantage, but it can also destroy you and other people. So there are 2 forms psychologists say. Benign envy, when we admire someone and try to emulate them. This is okay, this is fine. And there's malicious envy, when we dislike the other person for having what we want. This is that toxic feminine energy. It's coming from a place of scarcity. But in many cases, another person's ability to achieve something is evidence. It's evidence that that thing is possible for you too. So you have to shift your mindset here and let it empower you instead of discourage you. It can be so powerful. I have gone through this shift myself, and trust me, you want to get there. Okay, the third tip to embracing more of your divine feminine energy is create more. This one is pretty simple. Just start creating. Head to Pinterest after you finish this episode and start looking up DIY projects, home crafts for beginners, whatever comes to mind, and go for it. Let yourself play. Right now, I have 3 projects that are ongoing. I'm looking at 2 of them in the corner of my office. One is a macrame hanging fruit hammock that my sister actually helped me get started with. So there's a side note for you, a side tip. Reach out to your friends who create often. They can give you ideas, inspo, and even help you get started. Another project that I've gathered supplies for, but I haven't yet started is one of the plaster wall art projects. I have 2 large canvases I'm going to hang in my living room. It's a little intimidating to me, but I keep just like looking up inspo on Pinterest, like gearing myself up to do it. And the last project I have going on right now is a old piece of furniture. It's like a buffet kind of thing. I took the 2 middle drawers out, and I've ordered these wine racks I'm going to screw into the top and then hang wine glasses from and make it a really cute bar cart. I'm going to throw some stuff for the top, maybe like a little old shaker or something like that. I'm super excited about it, and honestly, these projects make my heart so happy. I love seeing the things that I've thought up in my mind come to life, and creating things that are a little more functional and like useful in my space is my jam for sure. Even just like redoing stuff like the matting, if you're watching the video portion of this, I have a picture behind me, and the matting of it was a dark green color, and I took it out and repainted the matting with literally like acrylic paint, and then put my poster in there. So that way it like fit the whole vibe and it matches the other picture that's on the side, and I just love it. But stuff like that. There are so many possibilities, but here are some other ideas for you: coloring, knitting, embroidery, gardening. Pick up something from Goodwill and refinish it, or maybe repaint a wall in your room or a whole room. There, just don't get caught up, okay? Go with your first instinct. Whatever made you say, "Ooh, I want to do that," when you heard me say it, run with that and send me pics, okay? All right. So number 4 is spend time in nature. Nature is one of the best ways to tune into your divine feminine because nature is one of the best examples of feminine energy with the seasons, ebbs and flows, and all of that. So take a daily walk, work outside, have a picnic, try the Pomodoro work technique. This is something I love to practice. It's where you work for 25 minutes on and focus on a specific task, and then you take 5 minutes off, and I just walk outside, no phone, just breathe in the fresh air, maybe play with my dogs a little bit. I set timers for each of these things, and then I go back in and I get back to that focused task, and I just work down my to-do list. And it really does help me feel like so much more centered when I've spent time outside. And that's actually a big goal of mine for June. One of the goals I've set is an hour minimum spent outside each day. Number 5 is the last tip on our list. Learn to listen to your body, your feelings, your emotions, and your intuition if you really want to embrace your divine feminine. Be gentle with yourself. Allow time for rest. Be real with yourself. Witness your emotions non-judgmentally. And when it comes to your intuition, I want to note that this does not feel the same as anxiety. Intuition is an inner thought, a nudge, a feeling in the right direction. It happens when you slow down and make space for it. And if you haven't already, go back and listen to episode 5, You Are Not Your Mind. This is going to help you so much in quieting your mind, not judging your thoughts, and really focusing in on what you truly want so you can honor your feelings and your intuition. And the last part of this, I feel like I can say, since my audience is 99% women, stay connected with your cycle. As a woman, we shed and go through 4 seasons in a month. The first phase is your menstrual cycle, your menstrual phase. This is your interwinter. It's a great time to reflect, and it is the most yin phase that we have. The next one is your follicular phase. This is your inner spring. You're implementing, you're taking inspired action, you're experimenting with different things, but it is more yang. The third is ovulation, your most social time. This is your inner summer, my favorite. You feel most powerful. It is yang as well. And this is the time when you're doing and achieving the most. And then the last is your luteal phase. This is your inner autumn. We are more introspective in this phase. It's a time to look back on what has served you recently, what has not. It's back to yin here, and it's one of the hardest phases because your inner critic gets really loud, and you also can experience more bloating. It's crazy, but being aware of your phases and where you're at in your cycle helps us so much in feeling in sync and empowered. I'm only just scratching the surface of learning about this myself, but I highly recommend you take a deep dive into it. The more I learn, maybe I'll wind up doing a whole episode on it, but there are certain foods you're recommended to eat, ways you're recommended to exercise throughout the cycle, and just so many things we can use to just tune into our body more and respect it more, honestly, and just give ourselves what we really need. Men operate on a 24-hour hormonal cycle, which is totally different from women. We operate on a 28-day plus hormonal cycle. So much flow, so much change. It's what I've learned already is game changing, and like I said, I will keep you updated, but definitely do your own research there. And so that wraps up our deep dive into the divine feminine energy. Good thing, because I am tripping over my words now. I really hope you enjoyed today's episode, and I am so looking forward to connecting with you on social media. Don't be a stranger. I will see you next Wednesday. Have a great week. Bye. P.S. If you love the vibes here and got something out of listening today, please screenshot and share on your story. I'd love to be tagged and hear your thoughts. My Instagram for the pod is @_selfworthclub.